Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Gone are the days of wrestling with our favorite LJN wrestling figures, trying to convince them to stand up. What's a guy to do? I'll tell you what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get on Etsy and look up 4 Left 3D Creations and get yourself these amazing custom LJN figure stands. There is a custom stand available for every single one of your LJN wrestling superstar figures. Make your display shine by grabbing these custom LJN stands from 4 Left 3D Creations today.
Hello everybody, Jason up, New Days Revolution Cave, and it is Monday. A bitter cold MLK day here. I don't know, whatever. We're gonna do Wrestling with the Past. Everything's out of order. It gets back in order tomorrow. Tomorrow we return to Hey Do You Remember as we continue our 80s home series, talking about the layout, the furniture, the vibe, the accoutrements of the 80s home. Tomorrow we talk about, hey, do you remember your childhood bedroom? Oh, that's going to be a good one, because I got like 3 bedrooms to remember. So we'll talk about that. First, it's Wrestling with the Past, folks. Wrestlemania is the next show we're going to review. I'm going to watch USA All American Wrestling, and I won't review it. It's probably a recap show. It's probably a lot of Wrestlemania talk. Might even be just the studio with going down the matches. I don't know. I won't show that. I probably would have a hard time even watching it. WrestleMania is next, but before that, we have to sit through All Star Wrestling, March 30th, 1985, Brantford, Ontario, Canada. Canada, is that how you say it? Canada, that's how you say it. Jack Reynolds, Jesse Ventura, and for some reason, Leilani Kai opened the show. And Jack and Jesse run down the card, and then Leilani Kai gets to say a few words about Wendy Richter and WrestleMania. And what I've realized is that the ladies aren't promo machines. They are not. It's not. Promos in general are, yeah, they're off the cuff, and yeah, they're supposed to be just, here's a topic, here's 45 seconds, go. But a lot of times it's rough. Guys lose track of what they're talking about. They just fumble, they mumble, they stumble. And I've noticed Leilani Kai, Wendy Richter, they all just kind of no idea what's going on up there. All right, first match on the card, Tito Santana versus Mr. X. This is the distant cousin of the Executioner, who Tito will be facing at WrestleMania tomorrow. Jack Reynolds. I love Jack Reynolds. Jack Reynolds, I don't think knew anything about wrestling when he applied for the job of commentator on their B show. He's the guy that keeps saying, we'll be right back on the World Wrestling Federation. I've called that out since I began doing this show. I hate it. It bothers me so much. I don't know why it just bothers me. Maybe I need to relax a little bit, but it bothers me. Jack Reynolds, in all of his commentary expertise, calls Mr. X a crafty veteran, which I found to be quite funny. Mr. X, parts unknown, weight unknown, identity unknown, is a crafty veteran. How would you know? How would you know that Mr. X is a crafty veteran? I've only seen him in the WWF as Mr. X. I've seen him with different body types, so it's not the same Mr. X. We'd never really know if it was the same Mr. X to say he's a crafty veteran, and I've only seen him on WWF TV since like mid-'84, so I don't know if he qualifies as a crafty veteran, Jack Reynolds. Tito with the most of the offense in the match, obviously. Mr. X leaves the ring twice, which is kind of rare in a TV job match because these matches are, 2-3 minutes. And Mr. X, taking a powder, as they say, leaves the ring on a few occasions and, walks around the ring and kind of yells at the crowd. Kind of interesting to see that. And, that's what I'm doing with these shows. I'm enjoying them. I'm watching them. I'm taking them all in. But I'm also looking for subtleties and things that I might have missed before. Tito hits the forearm, and Mr. X. So here's another thing that bothers me about wrestling. Tito hits the forearm, and Mr. X takes it, but then as he's on his back, right after the forearm, he starts to kind of crawl towards the ring ropes to get out of the ring. That's when Tito grabs him by the legs and puts him in the figure four to end it. But how come some guys are knocked out with the forearm for the 3 count, and others just feel like they can crawl out of the ring? They've still got the energy to crawl out of the thing. It's things about wrestling that make me say, right? Things that make you go, Maybe that's a new series coming up in the future, folks. Wrestling, things that make you go, How come both guys aren't knocked out after a suplex from the top rope? They're both falling from the same height. How come the wrestler giving the suplex can bounce right up and take things that make you go, Well, might turn that into a show. We got the same update from Lord Alfred Hayes about Junkyard Dog. You see that in a lot of these shows. They repeat the same updates. They repeat the same Piper's Pits for the most part. The same, vignettes and like with the Hogan Mr. T training, I've seen their training vignettes 100 times. It seems like they just keep repeating. And I know as a kid, I didn't mind. As an adult, I do. It's hard to sit there and watch the same thing 4 or 5 times. David Sammartino, given another chance in the on the World Wrestling Federation. If you recall last week, actually, was it yesterday? I'm sorry. Was it Last Wrestling with the Past, which would have been the show, Championship Wrestling 330-85. Or maybe it was previously. He took on a fella and almost killed him with back suplex, a German suplex, and then a press slam, landed on his neck twice. David Sammartino getting another chance, this time against Gino Carabello, or as Jack Reynolds likes to say, Carabello. Like I said, last time David killed a guy in the ring, and 20 seconds into this one, he kills Gino Carabello with the same German suplex, knocks him on his neck, lands right on his neck. Carabello rolls off to the side, head in his hands. David and the referee are both looking at Carabello. And then Carabello slowly gets up. David picks him up, which is always healthy for the neck. And the match continues. But second time in a row, David kills somebody. As usual, nobody checks on Gino. Maybe back then there was something that a hurt guy could do. Because nowadays, again, you take any kind of a bump, the referee is down on their knees, in your face. Are you okay? Like, we don't know what's going on. Every move, it seems, that kind of goes awry, or even doesn't. A perfectly beautiful top rope spot, referee's checking on both guys. They're not going to do that in 1984, folks. Kayfabe. They're not going to do that in 1984. We don't want to expose the business. But I wonder back then if there was something, like if Gino Carabello's neck was broken from the suplex, and he wasn't short of foaming at the mouth or bleeding out of his ears, was there a signal in 1985 that he could give the ref? Does he make eye contact with them to let them know he's okay? Because they're both staring at him and they're not doing anything, and referee's not checking on him. So I wonder if there was a more subtle sign that an actual hurt wrestler could give back then. I don't know. I've never seen it. I don't know. Maybe one of the old-timey wrestlers who watches the New 80s Revolution can let me know. David then goes with another press throw, but this time he gets Carabello over enough to where he lands on his back. But this was another move that broke the other fella's neck. It's a hoist. He's got him up. And instead of, like I said, instead of bringing him over, he kind of pushes him off like you'd throw something. And then you got to hope that there's enough momentum that Carabello can flip over entirely in midair. First guy didn't happen, killed him. Carabello does okay. Honestly, my interest in David Sammartino at this point is gone. And now I hope Brutus Beefcake kills him at WrestleMania. I don't like David Sammartino anyway. He's obviously sloppy. He's rough. He's dangerous. And he's kind of a turd. He's a punk. I don't like David Sammartino anymore. It's just that quick. 3 matches and I don't like him. We got the David wins that with the power slam. US Express versus Terry Gibbs and Rene Goulet. This was kind of a brawl at times. They didn't all seem to be on the same page with this one. It's fine. Like I said a million times, I want to see the US Express in a good match. I'm looking forward to the Sheik and Volkov match at WrestleMania. I'm looking forward to them winning the title back, which I hope I get to see. And then hopefully some MSG or Philly matches. It's a fine match. The US Express are fine. Barry Windham wins this one with the Bulldog. Lou Albano, conspicuous by his absence. He is not accompanying the champions to the ring. We have King Kong Bundy with Cape versus Canadian job guy Joe Marcus of the famous Marcus brothers. Bob Marcus is Joe's brother tag team partner. I guess the Cape, I've been talking about the Cape since Bundy appeared. First it was Cape and sunglasses. Now it's just Cape. And in the Bundy shoot interview, he said Vince McMahon didn't want him behind the sunglasses. He wanted his whole face to be seen, right? The whole intimidating look, no sunglasses. So the sunglasses are gone after week 1, but the Cape remains. And honestly, I thought the Cape was a one and done. It's not. It's the whole month of March. Maybe it disappears after WrestleMania. I guess we'll see if he wears the Cape at WrestleMania. That'll be interesting to see, won't it? This match is all Bundy, except for some punches that Bundy just brushed off. Reynolds says that Joe Marcus usually does pretty well for himself in the ring, and once again, I disagree with Jack Reynolds. Any match I've ever seen Joe Marcus, then he's jobbing out in 2.5 minutes. Reynolds does mention King Kong Bundy will be taking on SD Jones at WrestleMania. So this is the first time we get to hear that Bundy is fighting SD Jones. We've heard Bundy's on the card, but we didn't hear who his opponent would be. And now Jack Reynolds, of all people, tells us that it is King Kong Bundy against SD Jones. So what do we think of how he's handled? How the wrestle? I guess I like it because in Bundy's matches, they're 2.5 minute, 3 minute squashes. No selling some of the offense. When he took on Swede Hansen at MSG or Philly, it was a brawl and there was some offense from Swede. Then we go WrestleMania and Bundy wins in the made up pretend 9 seconds. And he beats somebody fairly significant in SD Jones. I guess that makes sense. WrestleMania being this huge stage. It's almost Bundy's debut, even though it isn't. They're almost treating it as Bundy's debut. So they make him this killer at WrestleMania, even though he's had 5 or 6 matches under his belt. I kind of like it. What do we got? We got the avalanche and the elbow in the 5 count. I failed to mention in previous Bundy reviews that he does not just hit the avalanche. He hits the avalanche and then he drops an elbow immediately and then five, he hits the 5 count for the Duke. We have a repeat of the Piper's Pit with the Hogan and Mr. T Piper defacing. I won't show you that. We've got another training with Hogan and Mr. T, again, from Championship Wrestling. They're in Central Park. They're running. They're working out. They're doing the double sit-ups together with their legs, romantically entwined. A lot of repeats, like I said. Next up, we've got, we finish the this week's episode with Paul Roma and SD Jones versus Sheik and Volkov. Now, I think this would have been a cool MSG match. I think I would have loved to have seen Paul Roma and SD Jones go against Sheik and Volkov for a good 12 minutes. I think that could be a fun match. Early offense from the good guys, of course. Usually what happens is Sheik starts the matches and the job guys get him in a headlock, or they give him they work the Sheik a little bit, and then Sheik gains the upper hand and then tags in Big Nikolai, and then Nikolai takes the upper hand. I haven't really seen Nikolai getting worked over by the jobs at all. So Nikolai is usually in there with the power moves. Nikolai hits that awkward backbreaker that we've talked about many times. One hand on the throat and the other hand right in the crotch, or holding up the atomic wedgie. That's how he holds the guy, and then balances them on his head. We've talked about that before. Then he drops him on the knee. That's usually the 1, 2, 3, but no, indeed, he tags in Iron Sheik. Iron Sheik comes in and slaps the camel clutch on Roma. Then we get a weird little brawl at the end, because Iron Sheik comes in, SD Jones comes in to check on Paul Roma, and Sheik and Volkov don't like that. So they start messing with SD. SD gets a little bit of an upper hand. He's fighting off two guys. Paul Roma gets back up. Now we got like a little mini brawl before SD and Paul Roma are tossed out of the ring. But I thought that was pretty cool. You don't really see that kind of an ending in a, enhancement TV match, but fun. And then we have an interview to close it out. Mean Gene is interviewing Wyndham and Rotundo. I love those early WWF tag team belts. I love them. Mike Rotundo's a bad interview. He sounds half asleep and on some kind of downer while he's talking. Very, very stoner-ish, very Spicoli, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And you wouldn't think so with Rotundo, but he's kind of like a hippie, a little bit, Mike Rotundo. They're hyping the WrestleMania match, and that's about it. Shine up those belts, Wyndham and Rotundo, because Sheik and Volkov are going to wear them out of MSG. But I can't wait to see that match, because I can't wait to see a good Wyndham and Rotundo match. That's it. That's Wrestling with the Past. It is time, folks, for WrestleMania. Our next episode will be WrestleMania. I'm going to probably start WrestleMania. God, could I start it tonight? No. I got to watch Twilight Zone tonight. I'm going to probably start WrestleMania tomorrow night, and I'll probably watch it in 3 increments. I don't think I can watch the whole 3-hour show. Imagine I can't watch a whole 3-hour pay-per-view. Would I have ever said that at 8 years old? Come on. That is all, folks. Wrestling with the Past. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night now.